Hello out there, and how's everybody doing? And welcome to the latest installment of The State of Joe. I'm your host, Joe Santiago. So, we have all been promised that things are going to get back to some semblance of normality, or the term that the media and politicians and different social systems love to coin is their go-to creepy phrase, the new normal. Well, just look around, people, and ask yourselves, are you happy with the direction this new normal is moving towards at this current breakneck speed? This new normal is turning out to be a big flop for the current employment efforts of the lion's share of the especially hit hard hands-on customer service jobs such as grocery stores, chains, department stores, and of course in food service and the restaurant industry. Across all sectors of the economy, they are now having trouble, first of all, getting the positions filled that they had filled before the pandemic. Part of that is because a lot of people had to go on unemployment. They were frankly making more money not working and collecting unemployment. According to Forbes.com, the CARES Act, the original coronavirus aid package, offered $600 per week on top of state benefits, but expired in July of 2021. Forbes.com says while the version of the stimulus bill passed by the House of Representatives included a $400 weekly federal unemployment benefit supplement through August, West Virginia Democratic Senator Joe Manchin resisted that amount for several hours. Manchin considered supporting a Republican amendment that would end a $300 weekly unemployment benefit extension in July. Forbes.com continues, but Manchin eventually agreed to a Democratic proposal to continue the current $300 weekly benefit this coming September 6th, along with the tax break on some unemployment income earned in 2020. And even with everyday jobs offering $16, $17 an hour walking in the door with no experience, and corporate doesn't care if these people they're hiring are even capable quality workers. Nope. They don't care if there's a big revolving door of high turnover rates because they will just keep filling their job quotas to show they are supposedly creating jobs, to report the numbers to their superiors and their HR departments as long as they fudge the numbers enough to qualify for that government program. That's going to give probably some corporate business tax credit. And the numbers for that quarter earns these hiring managers and bosses bonus checks, even though they are not producing any long-term jobs in a lot of cases. So your new normal, people, is going to be marked by less service staff at all retail and food service jobs. And really, this lack of help is going to be across the board with a Darwinian style, adapt or die, survival of the fittest business mentality. Along with no workers to fill job positions, there are hour of operation cutbacks and in-person interactions with customers. such as banks only allowing customers help by making an appointment with your bank, as the in-bank lobbies in banks are only open on limited days and hours, and their doors are kept locked. In this new normal, we can expect to see more supply chain problems, major consistent product availability issues, a continued dramatic drop in customer service, and an unprecedented increase in delays of all sorts, and a substantial increase of wait times in all goods and services. And the resources and commodities that we've grown accustomed to having, the oil, gas, electricity, food, and water, that we've all been taking for granted, that these items will always be here for us to use at will. And now, with the recently growing frail security that these necessary basic resources are tied to, according to Touro College Illinois .edu website, a college that specializes in degrees on cybersecurity and data analysis, is geared towards the healthcare field of the future. They state that over the past few months and years, we have seen an increase in ransomware attacks, many of them high-profile attacks. Incidentally, in 2016, Verizon Security Solutions reported that hackers broke into an unidentified water utility and again went in and changed the chemical levels. CNN continues on to say, recent cyber attacks that have used ransomware as their attack vector include attacks perpetrated against the Colonial Pipeline on May 7th, 2021, bringing supply shortages, with the pipeline being a major supplier of the East Coast, supplying gas, home heating oil, aviation fuel, and other kinds of fuels. It delivers a daily average of 1 million gallons of these fuels, with the hacking group DarkSide claiming responsibility, who has said they will disband and cease these operations, and the group shut down its dark website. But experts are saying the members of the hacking group will just form a new group with a new name. NPR.org reports that on May 8th, 2021, Colonial Gas paid $4.4 million in Bitcoin, as the Department of Justice, or DOJ, recovered about half of the Bitcoin back, about $2.3 million, from a Bitcoin wallet. Back on February 5th, 2021, there was a cyber attack on a Florida water treatment facility in Oldsmar, Florida, where apparently the only thing stopping this so-called bad actor from hacking the plant was an outdated Windows 7 system using a dormant remote access software, and then tried to poison the water supply by remote controlling the mouse on the operator's screen at the facility. As the mouse arrow opened the controls to the water's levels of sodium hydroxide, or known as lye, raising levels 100-fold. CNN goes on to say that the hack was quickly caught by a human operator at the facility, but the incident highlights a potential economy-wide problem as the COVID-19 pandemic has pushed millions of workers to work from home. CNN says that cybersecurity experts have long warned that insecure remote work software is a major source of weakness for hacking. CNN also says the technical director of security consulting at NCC Group North America, which is a global expert in cybersecurity and risk mitigation, working with businesses to protect their brand, values, and reputation against the ever-evolving threat landscape. Damon Small, the NCC technical director of security consulting, said, quote, "What it underscores, speaking as an information security professional, is the need for strong authentication when critical infrastructures are going to use these sorts of remote access systems." End quote. And according to CNBC.com, on June 1st, 2021, JBS, the largest beef supplier in the world, paid the ransomware who breached its computer networks about $11 million, the company said. Forbes.com reported what began on March 14th, 2021, Acer, the Taiwanese computer manufacturer, as the ransomware group REvil, has taken credit for the breach. The criminals are demanding a massive $50 million, Forbes.com says. That's the discounted rate REvil is demanding if Acer agrees to pay quickly, and that $50 million is believed to be a record sum for ransomware demands. The previous high of $30 million was also linked to an REvil attack. REvil warned that if no progress was made after 8 days, that the already steep price would increase to a jaw-dropping $100 million. Bloomberg reported that on June 1st, 2021, that there was a cyber attack on JBS SA, which I mentioned, the largest, and it is the largest meat producer globally, forced the shutdown of all its U.S. beef plants, wiping out output from facilities that supply almost a quarter of American supplies. Also, slaughter operations across Australia were also down, according to a trade group, and one of Canada's largest beef plants was idled. Bloomberg.com goes on to say that this all comes after a weekend hack on the Brazilian company's computer networks. According to JBS posts on Facebook, labor unions, and employees. The article goes on, it's unclear exactly how many plants globally have been affected by a ransomware attack, as Sao Paulo-based JBS has yet to release those details. The prospects of more extensive shutdowns worldwide is already upending agricultural markets and raising concerns about food security as hackers increasingly target critical infrastructure. Livestock futures slumped while pork prices rose. It all says that there have been more than 40 publicly reported ransomware attacks against food companies since May 2020, said Alan Liska, senior security architect at cybersecurity analytics firm Recorded Future. Now, JBS paid the cyber criminals $11 million, again, reportedly in Bitcoin, as Marsh.com reports that Bitcoin accounts for approximately for approximately 98% of ransomware payments, as the most popular of the cryptocurrencies, as they're called, are untraceable on the blockchain ledger it runs on, so that works out in the hacker's favors. According to the hacker's favor, it works out for them. According to Cybint News, in December 2018, cites the following statistics that shape today's cybersecurity landscape. A Clark School study at the University of Maryland is one of the first to quantify the near constant rate of hacker attacks of computers with internet access. On average, there is a hack attack every 39 seconds, affecting 1 in 3 Americans every year, and the non-secure usernames and passwords we use that give attackers more chance of success. Since 2013, there are 3,809,448 records stolen from breaches every day. 158,727 per hour, 2,645 per minute, and 44 every second of every day, reports Cybersecurity Ventures. With approximately 3.5 million unfilled cybersecurity jobs in 2021, while at the same time, incidents of global cybercrimes are expected to climb to 6 trillion annually during this year also. And in 2020, there was roughly 200 billion connected devices. According to figures compiled within a recent Semantic Internet Security Threat Report, there are 25 connected devices per 100 inhabitants in the U.S. CNBC.com reported on August 10th that on that Tuesday that the Senate passed a $1 trillion bipartisan 2,701 page infrastructure bill. As Democrats moved ahead with their economic agenda, the chamber will next move to approve a budget resolution that would allow Democrats to pass their $3.5 trillion spending bill, dubbed by some Democrats as the Human Infrastructure Bill, which Democrats will attempt to pass through a process called reconciliation, a process that will allow the legislation to be approved without a single Republican vote. The bill is expected to have proposals on child care, health care, education, and additional climate change-related provisions. And one good thing is the NewYorkTimes.com says the newly passed infrastructure bill includes $73 billion for the electricity grid. I applaud President Biden on this investment, although the emphasis on installing more broadband and a lot more electric charging stations and the electricity to AI-driven computers and the D-Wave and quantum computers, and of course the huge experiments in power at CERN and other sites running particle experiments with particle accelerators. And with the launching of more satellites than ever, and the implementation of drones, robots, and the totally connected smart cities, and the final implementation of 5G. Hopefully the money in the bill goes to things they need to update on the power grid, because with all these added strains on the electric grid, I would think this is just the beginning of what is sure to be many upgrades and funding for that purpose. Well, surprise, surprise, people, the global elites are letting us know that in the middle of all this chaos going on in the world, that they are still going to dictate our future and next move, which will result in more tragedy, just as Event 201 in October of 2019 involving a SARS-2 based pandemic. Then miraculously, the coronavirus is announced 2 months later in December. Or how the wargame exercise in June of 2020, part of the Transition Integrity Project, predicted exactly what took place. Trump did not accept the results as the 4-day exercise had predicted would happen. According to abc.go.com, the Project for the New American Century, or PNAC, was founded in 1997. Among its supporters were 3 Republican former officials: Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, and Paul Wolfowitz. In the 1998 memos and open letters to then President Bill Clinton and GOP congressional leaders, with the neoconservative influence group calling for, quote, the removal of Saddam Hussein's regime from power, unquote, and a shift toward a more aggressive U.S. policy in the Middle East, including the use of force if necessary to unseat Saddam. abc.go.com goes on to say, and in a report just before the 2000 election that would bring Bush to power, the group predicted that the shift would come about slowly unless there were, quote, some catastrophic and catalyzing event like a new Pearl Harbor, unquote. The event came on September 11th, 2001. And by that time, the group's advocates, Dick Cheney was coincidentally vice president. Donald Rumsfeld became Secretary of Defense, and Paul Wolfowitz became Rumsfeld's deputy at the Pentagon. So again, the elites put the meme out there in the ether, and it gets into the zeitgeist and into the people's minds, and presto, manifest takes fruition and follows the pattern that will result in the desired direction and road on a whim they decide to take us down, with gross disregard and negligence of logical consequences of these blatant aggressive measures and actions. Well, fast forward to the present. On June 9th, 2021, just back 2 months ago, when we really started hearing about cyber attacks, it seems there is another major one every couple or few weeks we now are hearing about on the news. Well, folks, the globalists, elitists, technocrats, and bankers are again telegraphing our next step with crisis control. But the only problem is they are the ones controlling the crisis. According to GovTech.com, in a report published on October 12, 2020, by Microsoft, 52% of hacking attempts by nation-state actors or bad actors came from Russia. Iran was responsible for a quarter of the alerts, while China was responsible for 12%. VisionTimes.com reported that on June 9th, 2020, there was a cyber attack defense digital pandemic preparation supply chain attack simulation to be conducted between World Economic Forum, or WEF, the World Economic Forum, being hosted by the globalist and Chinese Communist Party aligned World Economic Forum in connection with Russia's government-controlled Sberbank. and its subsidiary, Bizone, a cybersecurity firm, has been speculating the event may be a foreshadowing for the next global crisis. VisionTimes.com continues, Cyber Polygon 2021 is the simulation's name. It is an official WEF project partnered with names as big as IBM, Interpol, ICANN, Ericsson, Trend Micro, and Visa. The event lists Russian state media TASS as an information partner, and companies such as Deutsche Bank and Ernst & Young, and several banks and government institutions from Europe and Southeast Asia as participants. It goes on to say on the Cyber Polygon 2021 event website about page says, quote, with the digital world being as interconnected as it is, all its participants expose themselves to a number of safety risks. A single data breach across the ocean could trigger a chain reaction and spark a digital pandemic across the globe, unquote. And it gets creepier. Way back in January, basically, the WEF, again, the World Economic Forum, posted a YouTube video titled A Cyber Attack with COVID-like characteristics, which claims the internet suffers from a similar yet more exacerbated threat than the human body does from a contagious disease. The video says, quote, a cyber attack with COVID-like characteristics would spread faster and further than any biological virus, end quote. The video had 265 likes and more than 1,300 dislikes and is now unlisted. It goes on to say the WEF claims this conceptual internet virus would have a reproductive rate, quote, 10 times greater than we've experienced with the coronavirus. The video claims the only way to handle an exponentially contagious computer virus would be to disconnect each and every infected device from the internet, adding that a single day without the internet would cost the global economy more than 50 billion USD or US dollars. Quote, and that's before considering the economic and societal damages should these devices be linked to essential services such as transport or healthcare, unquote. The president himself of the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab's opening remarks at the Hackathon's 2020 event that ran just 3 days, October 23rd to the 25th, 2020, with over 1,000 MIT students, computer programmers, and those who do coding will share focused information, and part of the get-together is to create functioning software or hardware by the end of the event. Sometimes with focus and other times with no parameters or restrictions on the type of software being created. Klaus Schwab, the president of WEF, opening remarks at the Hackathon 2020 event, according to, again, VisionTimes.com, he said, quote, we all know but still pay insufficient attention to the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack, which would bring a complete halt to the power supply, transportation, hospital services, our society as a whole, still quoting, The COVID-19 crisis would be seen in this respect as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber attack, unquote. Schwab was rather direct when he stated, quote, "It is important to use the COVID-19 crisis as a timely opportunity to reflect on the lessons of cybersecurity community to draw and improve our unpreparedness for a potential cyber pandemic." And as if that all isn't enough to steer us into this future that awaits us as part of the Great Reset, as they're calling it, on shiftplan.com on April 8th, 2021, there was an article that was originally published by Whitney Webb at on the last American Vagabond is where it was published, a podcast that is dedicated to all topics that you will not hear in mainstream media. And they encourage you to do your own research also on this podcast. The story says that in November 2020, again, the WEF and Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, one of the most influential think tanks in the United States, with close, persistent ties to the U.S. State Department, former presidents, corporate America, and American oligarch clans like the Pritzkers of Hyatt Hotels. Current trustees of the endowment include executives from Bank of America and Citigroup, as well as other influential institutions. The article goes on to say the two groups co-produced a report that warned that the global financial system was increasingly vulnerable to cyber attacks. Advisors to the group that produced the report included representatives from the Federal Reserve, the Bank of England, the International Monetary Fund, Wall Street giants like JP Morgan Chase, and Silicon behemoths like Amazon. The Cyber Policy Initiative's November 2020 report is officially titled International Strategy to Better Protect the Financial System. It begins by noting that the global financial system, like many of our other systems, are, quote, going through unprecedented digital transformation, which is being accelerated by the coronavirus pandemic, end quote. It then warns, quote, and pose a growing threat to the global financial system, financial stability, and confidence in the integrity of the financial system. Malign actors are using cyber capabilities to steal from, disrupt, or otherwise threaten financial institutions, investors, and the public. These actors include not only increasingly daring criminals, but also states and state-sponsored attackers, unquote. And according to cybersecurityventures.com, cybercrime, which is predicted to inflict damages totaling $6 trillion US, cybersecurityventures.com expects global cybercrime costs to grow by 15% per year over the next 5 years, reaching $10.5 trillion US annually by 2025, up from $3 trillion US in 2015. This represents the greatest transfer of economic wealth in history, risks the incentives for innovation and investment is exponentially larger than the damage inflicted from natural disasters in a year. and will be more profitable than the global trade of all major illegal drugs combined, and is the soon creation of FedCoin, the Federal Reserve's very own digital currency, as Facebook's been talking about their own cryptocurrency for a while now called Libra, which they have yet to release. But could all this digital money perhaps take us down a road to a future cashless society scenario? And will cryptocurrency play a part in the mark of the beast prophecy from the Bible in Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 and 17? From the King James Version of the Bible, or the KJV, verse 16 reads, "And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads." And verse 17 continues, "And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name." It's possible digital currency will be a beacon for this to all eventually take place. Well, long story short, your imperial technocratic overlords are once again nudging us sheeple into what's the next big crisis and giving us our next invisible boogeyman to worry about. Could it be that simple? That our overgumptious elite controllers are just simply laying out the groundwork for the next big thing. And we just keep buying into their hunger to manipulate the path of the human race. They do it so well. What the technocrats want, the technocrats get. It's like the biggest game of Simon Says ever, as they tell us all to jump. And we say, how high? Well, that was an extensive video. It's been a while. As you can see, I have a little beard going on. It's been pretty crazy. A lot of crazy stuff. I even flipped out the other day in a road rage incident, and that was kind of scary. Just gotta, you gotta just keep your patience out on the road. It's getting real bad. People are getting real mean on these streets on Cape Cod, driving around. But yeah, so hope everybody's all right out there and surviving and getting through all this. So on the horizon here, and I'm seeing in my grocery store all the supply chain problems and things we're out of, and customers are starting to see now they're not going to have these things that they're used to. And this is affecting everything down the chain. The supply chain is, and they're warning us that we're going to get hit big. The financial institutions, the banks, and everyone's getting hacked left and right. This is the crime of the future that we're not ready for, and we do need to get ready for it. I do agree. I don't agree with some of this. A lot of the stuff these elitists are saying are just, out of control. I get it. I like to play devil's advocate too. That's one of my favorite things to do. But geez, this is getting kind of extreme, and it's almost as if they're salivating and hoping this happens. Like they're just waiting for it so they can say, I told you. Well, we all told you this was going to happen. All right, well, we understand technology is getting out of control, and there's a lot of people accessing the internet, and there's a lot of problems, and the dark web is really kicking up, and there's a lot of hackers out there, and so yeah, we got to do something about this. So this all goes to a more a comprehensive thing that the elitists and the globalists want to do, and the technocrats, they want to get rid of our current system and our what they call legacy systems, all our systems that control our money, our just our ways of business, our technology, all our ways of doing things. They want to shift into a new way, the new normal. And so, yeah, this is the new normal. Get ready for it. And there's nothing we can do about it. We just, there's no point in fighting it, really, because it's only going to get you in trouble and hurt and possibly jailed. So just keep hanging in there, and I do have corrections coming up. I thought I should stop and do this video because I thought it was really important right now. But I hope everybody hangs in there and does good. It's great to talk to you once again, and please feel free to like, subscribe, comment, and anything on my YouTube and my videos. I like all that stuff, and just got to keep everything rolling and stay positive as much as you can, because there's not enough positivity in this world. And just hope that just keep watching the news, because I'm sure we're going to get some hacks pretty soon, some big hacks. So everybody be careful, be strong, have faith in the Lord. He'll get us through this one way or another with our own power and our own patience and his guidance. And that's all we can ask for. So thanks for listening, and I appreciate it. Everybody have a great day, and enjoy your new normal, America, because it's only going to get a lot crazier. So get ready. Thanks for listening. And as always, peace out.